Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, The Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Eyrie Gargoyles Podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spideydude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideydudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community and be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode of the Spideydude Experience. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Spideydude Experience. I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster of Spideydude.com and the executive producer of the radio network. As always, I am not doing this on my own. Tonight we're going to be covering 3 issues. We're going to be covering 68 deaths, 69, and 70. Somewhere I've got it set over here. So we'll be covering 3 issues tonight on this particular episode. We're going to have another episode following later on tonight for the Ultimate Spider-Man 15 that came out today as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a whole different cast of characters for that. But for now, we have Dr. Chris, the host of the Sal Buscema era podcast himself. Welcome, Chris.
Hello. Check out my new Spider-Man sports jersey. Awesome.
Just a day before opening day in baseball when we're recording this. So,
oh, is it? Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Wow.
Good job. You. So, we have what the hell?
We are Venom. I heard we're going to cover my books tonight. So
we're too much of a family show for me to say what I thought that looked like.
We have, for those that are audio listeners, we have Venom smoking a cigarette.
Well, it explains the voice, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that's not much different than his normal voice. Ryan, there may be Doom later. Ryan Reed's asking if there's going to be any Doom tonight.
And I'm just a little Venom head. Don't worry.
Surprise.
And I don't know how long I could keep this voice up because it hurts.
I mean, I almost had a friend of mine join us to she could have cosplayed as she has a fantastic Magic costume, but she was not available to join us. So
yeah, Walter, just put the puppet down.
This is not a puppet. I am Venom.
Well, put Venom away.
I don't think it can fit where it came out of.
Oh my God! Stop.
All right, Venom's gonna go night night.
All right, bye, Venom.
This issue reminds me that there's a lot of X-Men women with miniseries going on right now with covers by J. Scott Campbell, doing them in the sexiest way J. Scott Campbell can draw.
Yeah, I mean J. Scott Campbell has one type, and let's make it smexy. So
it's Savage Land Rogue, Magic, and there's one other, right? I think Psylocke's going to be getting a miniseries. He'll be doing covers for that too.
Yeah, I think he also did covers for the Phoenix book.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Oh, what in the freaking hell is that?
You don't recognize Jackpot Joyner?
Oh my god. Your terrible Photoshop skills never cease to amaze me, Walter.
Well, I just
so this issue of X-Men was pretty terrible.
Yeah, let's get into the what's up, Tevia? You're watching us on Twitch. We are streaming live on Twitch.
Twitter, it's an issue of X-Men. That's all it is.
This is I got okay.
Before we get into issues, should we discuss the little thing that happened sometime last week that got everybody talking about a certain pairing in Amazing Spider-Man? Where somebody needs to keep his freaking mouth shut.
Who?
Tom Brevoort.
I was going to talk about that in the Ultimate episode, but we can talk about it here. Tom Brevoort basically came out on his Substack and said that Spider-Man and Mary Jane are not going to be together. Surprise, surprise! It's the same thing he said since 2008.
But here's the thing: if you don't want people to keep asking the question, don't respond to the question.
I know.
I mean, they can ask it as much as you want, but just don't respond to it. Yeah. Put it down, Chris, because every time I see that issue, just
pisses you off.
Pretty much.
For a Spider-Man comic book, he appears in one panel.
I was really excited for Mark Buckingham to come back to draw Spider-Man. What I was not excited to see is that Mark Buckingham essentially drew the Juggernaut side quest just to sort of set up the final two issues. I went on a rant last week about, was it last week? Week before? Last week. Yeah, it was last week. Last episode live on the Spideydude Experience. And I tore into this book because I am irritated. And I think that the two of us also are extremely irritated by this because frankly, this is a book that should have been a one-shot tying into 8 Deaths of Spider-Man because it's completely forgettable. Now, I get that the people are like, well, it could be worse. It could have been like the ASM issue. And I get that. But you already have 10 parts to this storyline. Probably could have done most of this in about 6. This entire bit with Juggernaut, I mean, it kind of justifies the existence of like how this came to be.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's what it's attempting to do. So let me do the rundown of the issue right quick. So let me
just get it out of there because I'm biting my tongue as hard as I can.
Yeah, I'll mute your ass. All right, so we open the issue with Psylocke, Juggernaut, Cyclops, Kid Omega, Magic, and Temper. Temper and Kid Omega, I think, are newer mutants. A part of the new post-Krakoan era of X-Men. They are attacking Juggernaut because of the situation. So they continue to try to because the Blight has turned everybody evil. And Juggernaut's like, you punks want me to wet my pants because the Blight turned you evil? You're new at it. I'm a damn supervillain. That's right. So, anyway, we continue to they were trying to remove his freaking only vulnerable spot. Then we get Juggernaut, before, Sidorak or whatever the freaking hell his name is. So, Nothing stops the Juggernaut. There's some really good panel composition, in my opinion. I think this entire 2-page spread here is really good. This is where Juggernaut's kind of like taking out Cyclops. I thought was actually pretty well done. We then get a cutscene to Magneto and the 70s Beast discussing, because the real Beast ended up committing war crimes. And so Magic tries to take away the basically Magic tries to take him out, and he's like, "'Cause I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." I'm sorry. I knew that was somebody was gonna make that joke before it was all said and done. Can you take that off of your background, please? That's just extremely stupid looking, especially with your head right between the legs, and just it's awful. Change it to anything else. Anyway, so he's like, you know what? If I'm going to go down fighting, I'm going to go down fighting my friends. And then, to be continued in Amazing Spider-Man number 69. Chris, what did you think of the issue?
It was just an incoherent mess. I mean, it's just an absolute disaster. I mean, art, yes, is nice to look at, and the cover is bright and colorful, but this was the same thing I feel with this entire storyline. This was an absolute just crap fest. This could have been done like a one shot or something. I do not understand what was the point of this whole 8 deaths and these tie-ins, 68 point something deaths.
At least with the other deaths, it was given some context with Joe Biden, aka Agent Coulson. Okay, that's much better. Walter changed it to Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, #1 cover. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm of the same thought process. I mean, this is an issue that when I read it, I was irritated and grumpy, because to me it was a waste of time, and it was a waste of Christos Gage, and it was a waste of Mark Buckingham. This Mark Buckingham was the tease going into this story, and this is the only issue that he does.
It's I keep saying it every week. I am so excited for the newest issue of Superman by Joshua Williamson, but I cannot say the same thing about Spider-Man at all. I mean, they're doing great things over in Superman and building up to a huge amount of stuff, obviously, because they have a big movie coming out this summer. So, but Spider-Man, it's like, I just want this to be over and hopefully get something good with the next, relaunch that's coming in 2 seconds.
So I forgot to tell everybody what the creative team was. So Christos Gage was the writer, Mark Buckingham was the artist, Tamada Ankananko is the colorist, Joe Caramanga is the letterer, Buckingham and Richard Eisenoff are the cover artists, and Federico Vincentini and Richard Eisenoff are the variant cover artists of that particular issue. So it is. Ryan Reed says it's a crime against Buckingham.
I think even the creative team doesn't want to be associated with this issue. I'm pretty sure they don't want their names mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate.
There is some good news in Marvel. We could obviously talk about the fact that the entire cast list for the Avengers Doomsday has been announced.
Yeah. To me,
we're not going to get good news out of this issue. I can tell you that.
The good news, I mean, basically the big lead story on that is a good chunk of the original Foxmen are back.
Yeah.
In the Avengers movie. Others that I thought were notable is like Namor and Shang-Chi are going to be in it. So there's that. Looks like most of the Thunderbolts. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth was the first one they revealed, which was kind of interesting.
Susan Storm by Vanessa Kirby, Captain America, Anthony Mackie, Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, obviously, Black Panther, Lita Wright, Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, so maybe he'll get a better bite at the apple. U.S. Agent, Wyatt Russell, Namor, The Thing, Shang-Chi, Yelena, Beast, Sentry, Falcon, Johnny Storm, Red Guardian, M'Baku, Ghost, Loki, Professor X, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Mystique, Cyclops, Gambit, Mr. Fantastic, and, of course, Doctor Doom, and I guarantee there's going to be people that they haven't announced yet to keep under wraps. Like Chris,
Evans and stuff like that. Yeah.
The other Chris.
Well, I'm
And
happy
Spider-Man.
that most.
Notice there's no Spider-Man in this movie either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, which I thought was a bit interesting. I was hoping to see Tom Holland's name in there, but I didn't see it.
Tom Holland's name is in there.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
he's been announced to be in there.
Yeah, well, that's
It's the
filming his
latest
movie.
news.
I mean, he's filming his movie coming up soon, starting in July. So
yeah. We know that, and we know it
Do you
takes.
really think they're not going to have Spider-Man in this movie with Tony Stark coming back as Doctor Doom? So he can sit there and go cry, "Why, Tony? Why?"
I mean, there's like 3 Avenger films he's not in. So
I mean, we've also kind of moved past like the Mr. Stark.
yeah, I don't need that.
I
I'm just
will
hoping that
say
the Russo brothers can get it together because their Electric State was not together.
Yeah, apparently there's a flame war going on in my Discord right now between a couple of people.
I do want to say this. It seems a little bloated. Okay, that's a lot of characters to put on a screen and to necessarily have screen time for all of them. I mean, it's almost as big as Endgame in a sense, with the amount of characters they're putting forth out there. Unless they're making a 2-parter, this is going to be a very heavily bloated movie.
Oh,
With you
it
got
is
the
2 parts.
fantastic.
This movie's Secret Wars.
Well, hopefully, I'm cautiously hopeful that this will be good.
I was hoping to
Okay.
see Charlie Cox in this too, but we kind of know that Daredevil Born Again kind of takes place. The second season takes place in between the movies. So,
But
okay.
can I talk about death yet?
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Okay, the X-Men issue in a Spider-Man comic, which I did write a letter expressing my need for my refund and my time back for false advertisement. I don't get it. It was not even a good X-Men story. All right,
Yeah.
it was a Juggernaut story, which, quite frankly, a character I really don't care about. I have no interest in. I don't know why they did this. It had nothing to the overall story other than a little tie-in to the guy who sits on the toilet all the time. And that's about it. It's a money grab saying, oh, we're going to put another Amazing Spider-Man. People will pick up and expect to see Spider-Man, which they did get to see him on the last panel of the book. That's not a reason why I buy Amazing Spider-Man. It's not. The story was bland, but let's continue on with the other 2 issues so we can just end my suffering for this story arc, please.
Yeah. All right. So we'll give grades at the end of the episode or at the end of the review. Let's get into issue number 69. Nice. So we have Dr. Doom on the cover carrying the lifeless body of Spider-Man. We have basically picking up where we left off. We have Ed McGuinness doing his impression of what happened in the Doc Deaths issue. So the blight is now coming, and so 8 Deaths of Spider-Man Part 9, Acceptable Losses. Joe Kelly, the writer, and McGuinness is the penciler. Mark Farmer is the inker. Marsario Menez is the colorist. Joe Caramanga is the letterer. So after we get the 2-page spread of the letter of the title page, we get
Chris, please mute.
Chris is not there. He left. He disconnected his cam, so I don't know what happened. All right, so it is a little weird. We have broken Sidorak's ill-conceived covenant and freed you. We use it with the power of the blight. Oh, it looks. Hang on, we have a special guest. Doom has returned. Hello, Mr. Doom, Dr. Doom. Excuse me. So, welcome back, Lord Doom.
Hail
Who
Doom.
just flew in, imbeciles, to take over your show? Let me tell you about Doom's plan for the world. Especially here, you can go and buy the newest issue of One World Under Doom, where I have defeated this thing at long last. He is no longer the thing, but that imbecile Benjamin J. Grimm. One World Under Doom, we will reinforce the Department of Education under Education for Doom, not like the tyrant that's currently running your pathetic country. The only biggest issue I have with this comic book is there's not enough Doom in it.
Lord Doom, you say Ben Grimm is not rock hard anymore?
Oh my God. Anyway, so back to the recap. The blight, the brother is trying to possibly marry his sister, which is just gross. You know, now he's like, do you see me now, father? So Syria and Agent Coulson are talking back and forth, and we then cut back to the feast center where we see a bunch of people starting to attack. You know, May is desperately telling people to wake up. Whatever, all of a sudden, Doom! And the disembodied body of Doctor Strange in astral form shows up.
That idiot Strange, I tricked him, and now I, Dr. Doom, am Sorcerer Supreme. For however long editorial will allow me to be.
Yeah, so Strange rightfully calls Doom out on his shit because, no offense, Dr. Doom, I'm just...
Doom does not take no shits.
Jesus Christ.
It was just like anyway.
So,
Doom shall be Sorcerer Supreme until the great Academy Award-winning actor Robert Downey Jr. is in a movie playing him. And then Doom will become God Doom.
Yep. So, you know, Phil Coulson is trying to explain to Syra that it's the deaths that have rendered him completely paralyzed by loss. Can't feel loss unless you have felt love for a friend, a parent, a love for a hero. It is fragile and unique and beautiful, so it deserves to be protected. That's what your father is feeling, what you are feeling, Syra. Love for life is the only meaning that can be found in a meaningless universe. The weight of it is unbearable to some, to others. To him, Spider-Man is dead, Syra. Life and the care of it is a job for the living. And then she does her best Doctor Strange impression and says, Phil Coulson, I've come to bargain. So
wouldn't that be Brain Wade doing Let's Make a Deal?
Well, I mean, if you remember the first Doctor Strange movie, he was like, Dormammu, I've come to bargain, and does the time loop. So
please
basically, she asks if there's any way to, you know, save Spider-Man's life, and so
because I want to date him.
Yep, the willing transfer of the Crimson Essence from Syra, the offspring of the god Sidorak, to subject's mortal form. Immortality traded for the remaining days of one mortal life. The universe screams. This is not the order of things. Generally, the universe would be right, but I'm new to the job. Surely I'm allowed to make the mistake in the name of love, not for Cyrus for Peter, nor mine for him either, but Spider-Man's love for us, all of us. And she says, I learned to care because of you. Become the weapon that she was molded him to be, because now he is officially unstoppable. He has become a juggernaut. Too big splash. And that's in the issue, the penultimate issue of this volume. Gentlemen.
Once again, Marvel has tried to show their feeble attempts at marketing and making new IP and toys off the feeble Spider-Man with this idiotic juggernaut. Albeit, of course, a good design by the great Ed McGuinness. He, of course, did an incredible portrait of Doom as well. You can check out many other issues of that. And don't forget to also go to your local store and order One World Under Doom issue number 3 coming out next month. As nothing else matters except for Doom's reign in the comic book store.
Well, I mean, they've already done like a juggernaut run. Hasbro has. So this is just going to be
what the hell is that noise? That sounds like someone's talking in a wind tunnel.
Who?
I don't know. It just sounds like every time someone's moving, it sounds like a wind tunnel happening.
I'm not hearing shit.
Huh.
It's probably you, buddy. All right, so
well, hold on. Let me real quick. This issue, I wish they would have done the little whole Spider-Man is upset because there's death because he cares about life thing, so we can get the little switch where he starts acting like a hero again, but better late than never. Please continue.
Yeah, oh, Bigman hears it too. Hang on.
Thank you, Vickman. I'm
Fools
old.
are hearing things.
I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man. Of course I'm a fool.
Like, there is no wind except for the wind that passes through Latveria.
Okay. So
there's a joke here, which I'm not going to make, but it'll piss Zach off.
Hang on, let me see if this fixes it. All right, let me know if you're still hearing it. Anyway. All right, so. Oh, well, hang on.
Let me guess, you had another mic.
I need to buy a new mic. So. Shut up, Walter.
Once again, the host has shown his incompetence in the presence of Doom. How dare you selling this podcast with your absolute lack of technology? If you had bought your mic from Latveria's own Radio Shack, it would be so much better. Did you not know that Radio Shack went to Latveria after you pathetic Americans decided to do away with it? We also have Circuit City in Latveria. It's where Doom gets all of his best technology.
Oh.
We just opened up our first CompUSA. It's right next to where the children buy all their toys at Toys R Us.
Oh my God. All the old American IP that doesn't exist anymore.
It does exist in the great state of Latveria and possibly what I have heard to be your 51st state, Canada.
Yep.
But don't worry, there shall be no more states once all of the world is rightfully under Doom, and it will be the united planet of Latveria.
All right, so we get to issue 70. 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, Part 10, Nothing Can Stop the Spider-Knot. Joe Kelly's the writer. Ed McGinnis
I'm
is
sure
good.
that will make an excellent toy. Probably comes out the same time as Doom's Tyrannosaurus Rex toy.
Probably early next year.
If Disney has their way.
Mark Farmer and Cliff Rathburn are the inkers. McGinnis, Rathburn, and Marsario Menez are the cover artists. Scotty Young, Peach Momenko, Frank Miller, and Alex Sinclair, Iban Cabello, and Jesus Aberntoff, Bjorn Biens, Brent Schoonover, and Rochelle Rosenberg. NetEast Games, Marvel Rivals are the variant cover artists. Alex Sinclair and Masario Menez were the colorists, and VC Joe Kamanga, poor guy, having to do all the lettering by himself. This time, instead of wasting a page in the 2-page spread, they actually did it on the inside of the cover, which I thought was kind of clever. We get the Spider-Knot punching the bad guy and just beating the living tar out of him. Strange was like, Doom was very confused. He's like, Strange, what has he done? So, Spider-Knot and Juggernaut have a bit of a little back and forth. Magic is like, hey, I can hurt you there, Juggernaut, which he was a little surprised. Calyx doing his best William Shatner impression, and then Juggernaut was like, hey, you ever heard of the fastball special that Wolverine and Colossus do? Guess what? 2-page spread, Calyx! That is Peter going towards Calyx.
Shatner impression was okay. As you, of course, know, Doom is a diehard Trekkie fan. He had to correct that imbecile Spider-Man when he said who was that pushed the ship forward in the warp speed.
It was Venom.
Oh, God. All right, don't think, just do. And so Peter then casts a spell. He's like, he's not going to miss the magic at all, but the stupid names of the spells are always fun. Doom, he's got a plan, of course. And Strange was like, oh, is this what your plan is? So we get to the Crimson Cosmos.
Just so you know, the Crimson Cosmos only happens every 28 days.
Jesus Christ. Walter. We're live on YouTube right now, man. Come on.
Hey,
Doom, admonish him.
You fool! Your imbecilic humor will not stand here in the great nation of this podcast of Doom.
It made me laugh.
So, anyway, we got Syra basically chastising Sidorak. He's like, nothing can hurt Sidorak. And she's like, no, the great Sidorak did nothing as his son killed the siblings and attacked his father. You are broken. Make it stop. So, Peter is, he can cast the casket of Sidorak continuously until he dies. With the power of my blood coursing through you, you can live 100 years, but the blight is part of a primal fabric of the universe. It will prevail eventually. But I'm casting the spell anyway, so if you're not a part of the solution, the blight will prevail. Why do you fight? Why then is life so fragile? And then we get the floating heads of not guilt? Full-page spread. Peter says today is worth fighting for. And all of a sudden, Sidorak pushes him out of the way. And Sidorak then becomes Atlas of the cosmos. So anyway, Peter's like, I never want to do magic again, not even at a kid's party, never. Strange says, fair enough. Go to a funeral where Bailey and Peter are sitting together. And, they talk back and forth. It was the guy that died in front of Bailey a few issues back. I kind of forgot about that until I was reading it. And then we get Peter bringing some roses to the old bat, Aunt May, who gives him a hug. So, and then we have Black Cat and Peter. And they're Peter thanks Felicia for not completely just disowning him. Meanwhile,
and other things.
So obviously, we see Randy and the art exhibit with all sorts of people, including Paul in the background, which just the only way you know is because the man bun and Mary Jane.
That idiot Paul should die by being hit by a car. Nothing else would satisfy Doom more than a car running him over and turning him into gushy, mushy pulp on the streets of New York. I shall wave my hand and use my powers of the Sorcerer Supreme to make that happen, except for he is beneath my notice. I will leave that up to editorials.
Yeah, Shay shows up and says, Peter's like, listen, can we just try things over again? I'm sorry I was a jerk. And so everything's all forgiven. And then we have a big Spider-Man image of for possibly the last time with Ed McGuinness. They don't say. There is a 2-page letters page. And I will read the final.
Create a comic book of all of the women that were stupid enough to date Spider-Man.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
They should form their own super league to take down the imbecile Peter Parker, or have their heads examined. Because I cannot possibly believe this many people would be this dumb to have their hearts broken by that fool Peter over and over again.
Well, no one can spin a web like Peter.
So we then get a backup of Joe Kelly's the writer, Kafu is the artist. It's called Cash Grab. Some guys are robbing a bank, and they all the money ends up getting out on to where people can grab it. Peter then saves everybody, and he's like, I believe in New York. Don't take the money. We then, after the robbers are apprehended, of the nearly $3 million scattered by criminals into the streets of Manhattan, $2,896,000 were returned by the greatest city dwellers in the world, New Yorkers. First National has offered a reward to Spider-Man of a 6-figure sum, so long as he provides a name, his real name, social security number, etc., etc. Peter then laughs. He's like, I hate money. I need a job. See you in 2 weeks, Amazing Spider-Man #1. So I do want to read the final paragraph in the letters pages before we get to the thoughts on this particular episode. We have, and with that, we'll put this volume of Amazing Spider-Man to bed. It has been quite a roller coaster, and we've all been incredibly proud of the books we've put out. From Zeb, Johnny, and Ed through 8 deaths, it's been a non-stop thrill ride. When we reached out to Joe Kelly to take the story lead on what ended up being 8 deaths of Spider-Man, we thought that would be all we'd able to convince Joe to do, since he's such an in-demand creative force in animation and television. Joe surprised Nick Lowe by asking if he'd consider him for the full ASM job, and honestly didn't think it was possible, but he jumped at the chance to see what a volume with Joe at the helm would look like. The thing that he doesn't quite know when we asked was that he'd already spoken to Pepe Larraz about doing the book, so Joe felt extra lucky. Pepe is absolutely slaying the book so far, but this book is more than one artist can handle, as most of you know. and keeping John Romita Jr. on the book was one of the easiest decisions ever. Just wait until you see what this team supreme has in store for you. To give you a taste, check out this amuse-bouche courtesy of Joe and artist Kafu. See you in 2 weeks for one of the coolest ASM issues ever. Keep whipping. Nick Lowe, editor, Astoria, New York. Doom! What are your final thoughts on this particular book?
This entire storyline would have been so much better if Doom was actually the villain in this story, or the hero,
Agreed.
depending on your point of view. This pop-in for a couple panels here and there was absolutely an atrocious waste of my time, and I shall have the editors-in-chiefs at Marvel Comics filleted alive in front of their family, and then wear their skin suit as my armor at their children's birthday party after I make their wives dig their graves. That is how I feel about this entire story. Keep that in mind as we are live, that this is for comedic sakes, and Doom would not actually do this. Doom is also a fictional character, so you must keep that in mind as well in case any of Marvel's legal is watching. I digress. Go buy Owen World Under Doom, issue number 3, coming out soon. It will be a better experience than whatever was shot out for this entire storyline.
Speaking of Doom, are you going to upgrade to the Marvel Legends Doom masks when it comes out?
Maybe. All depends on the price and the cost. Doom does not feel like he should have to spend that kind of money on such frivolous things. He's more about helping the independent artist who made his beautiful mask for him now here.
Ah, well, I'm glad that support indie artists. That's always a good thing to do.
That's something I've heard that Marvel Comics does not do. They do not support artists and writers in general, but that's a story for another day.
Well, Doom, are you going to have to leave now?
Doom will have to leave. Do not forget to check out one of the best shows on this network, the Sal Buscema Era podcast, as they are wrapping up Maximum Carnage. And then go buy Carnage's comic book, which has Eddie Brock as the host of Carnage right now. And then don't forget to buy One World Under Doom, issue number 3, and get in line now to buy your tickets for Avengers Doomsday. You might as well wait in line for a year, because that will be the biggest movie in all of cinema history, because I, Dr. Doom, will finally be done correctly after the buffoons through the years have so thoroughly messed it up. With the exception of the late, great Roger Corman, he did my costume very much justice.
True.
What did Doom say about Eddie Brock being somebody
Unlike
other than
the sock
Venom?
puppet over here who had 3 absolute craptacular movies that looked like they were shot out of someone's anus.
Should we bring up the Fox Fantastic Four or Fantastic Four Stick Doomsy?
That made Doom look like a homeless man in a burnt, wrapped trash can bag.
At least
Nothing
I was
was more
comic book
insulting.
accurate.
Nothing is more insulting, and if I ever found out the person who did that, they would die at the hands of Doom. To
Well,
be
you see the size of my tongue,
and
I could just
die
lick 'em
again and again and again.
Well, Doom, thank you for your demonstrative presence here on the Spideydude Experience. We do appreciate you.
Doom out.
Oh, he gets thank you, but I get jack crap. No,
Well, I'll talk to you in a minute there, sock puppet. Shut up. Bye, Doom.
Well, it's been fun, boys, but the hand says voice hurts.
Yeah. Go slither back to whence you came.
Just remind me to zip up my pants later. But I'm going to take Des out of this whole equation with this.
Okay, so
I think that'd be fair, because the Des really didn't have nothing to do with the main story. Did you agree with that?
I mean, it's just a side quest.
Yeah.
It's basically there to justify the X-Men showing up for reasons.
Well, X-Men wasn't in the first Doc Death. It was Phil Coulson.
Yeah. No, I meant like in the main story. The X-Men showing up and
yeah. But the pros out of this for me is Ireland. Her writing of Peter, God, I loved her writing of Peter. Okay.
Right.
And the artwork typically in the main book was very good. There were a couple panels I kind of twisted my head, but nothing horrendous, you know.
Right. McGinnis's 4 issues, I think, were really good and really strong. Mm-hmm. He's been the biggest highlight of this volume, and I think him wrapping the volume up, I think, was the right call.
And as the cons is everything else. The story. I didn't really need what we had, like 3 to 4 issues of mopey Peter. Okay, one issue is enough. 2 issues, maybe. But when you get beyond that, now you're just like, hey, let's show you how much we really hate Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, there was 10 issues. And 3/4 of it, well, not 3/4, a quarter of it is basically how much Marvel hates Peter Parker because he's a mopey little asshole who hooks up with his ex-girlfriend just because I feel bad about myself. And then it's all about making Peter look bad. And then was it issue 66? No, it was 67, where he just automatically flipped the switch and decided to become a hero again with no explanation until we get to issue 68. And it wasn't his thoughts. It was Doctor Strange talking to Dr. Doom. Wouldn't it be more nice to have like a little insight to Peter's thoughts about what he's going through instead of all the other characters inferring to what Peter is going through?
Yeah.
Okay. This story is very, very, and I'm going to be nice. I would say something worse than this, but very, very big. Okay. It's
which is a very. I mean, you've watched most of the episodes from this volume. A lot of it's meant.
If I was watching it, I'll be turned the TV off already.
Well, shut up, grumpy old man, with your lollipop and your.
Do you want me to be smoking cigarettes? Do you want me to be smoking cigarettes?
No, I would rather you not, considering that something personal happening in your life that we can talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. But again, I think that the final part actually was the best issue that we've had in probably a couple of months, because Spider-Man's actually doing something. Like this feels like a Power Rangers
Spider-Man book.
Yeah, it feels like Japanese Spider-Man with the leopard on and the mega, he's got the power up, and it's like, yeah, I'm Spider-Nut. Like, it just.
I know what you're saying, Zach.
This was fun, but like, again, it just did not feel like a Spider-Man story. And I think that's the fundamental crime of this. This is a filler arc that was 10 parts that ended up being 12 because we got to pad out the trade. That just felt completely unnecessary.
I got a question for you, Zach. And
I got an answer.
Whoever else, anybody else, what did this add to the Spider-Man mythos? That's why I'm basing my grade.
Not much. I mean, honestly, not much.
I mean, I could add that. I could say that to Wells arc or Spencer's.
What I will say is that like the overall story where Peter loves humanity, like I can get behind it. It's just so clunkily done, and again, it's like the bit with Tom DeFalco. There are a lot of good stories out there, but are there a lot of good Spider-Man stories out there? And that's always the question that I don't feel like is asked, because I think this feels very much in the same vein as Beyond, which was season 2 of the show. And I say that as a Ben Reilly fan. This padding stuff out at the end of volumes. This was the big event to end 2024 and go into 2025, because they do that every year, right?
Well, this was my first year experiencing it. So.
Yeah, so like last year, like 2023 into 2024, we had Gang War. The previous year before that, we had Dark Web. And so everything is building towards the end of, like, in November, they do this big freaking arc that goes through the end of the year and kind of gets everything off to a good start, allegedly, for the beginning of the calendar year. And it's just really frustrating because I just don't think that they were good stories. I think that they were stories, ideas that were stretched out, padded out, and this is just the marketing strategy right now of Marvel. They continuously do this. This was a storyline that was 10 parts long, not without the deaths withstanding. And this story could have been told in
5 issues,
5 or 6 issues.
Yeah,
easy.
I mean, it's halfway through. When you get to like halfway through this, excluding dot deaths. I mean, be very clear, excluding dot deaths. You're like, get to the point. Stop dragging this out. Get to the point. We get it. Peter saw 80 million deaths, which is impressive.
Yeah.
But we don't need 4 issues of him moping around going, woe is me, I see dead people. I'm in a M. Night Shyamalan movie. I mean, come on. Just to drag it out, whether it be for trades or from their Disney overlord, to say, hey, I want to make more money. But let me close Facebook.
I was texting Adam in our Facebook group.
Yeah, and I heard it. But it's with any kind of media. I thought of this as a good example. Okay. I've been playing video games. I've been playing my favorite video game, Mass Effect. I love the Mass Effect series. I mean, the build up to Mass Effect 3 was tremendous until you got to the end. Then it kind of, most people who buy it don't like the ending because it's an ABC choice. Then you had Mass Effect Andromeda, which was 8 deaths of Spider-Man. It just dragged on. The story wasn't good. The acting wasn't good. And when people brought it up, it was all about the integrity of the artist. Well, they tend to forget something very, very important, which is something that entertainment media has come to realize. You can have integrity as an artist, but if no one buys it, who's going to pay for the artist? I mean, you could be like Marvel and pay minimum wage. And see how many artists you get lined up at that. I mean, the story has to be compelling enough to bring people in. It goes to the Tom Brevoort thing, talking about marriage. Why don't you do something you know people will buy? Okay.
Yeah.
To quote Joe Quesada, you do like Ultimate Spider-Man, don't you?
Yeah.
You like what they're doing. Why can't we do that in this Spider-Man? Because God knows you have had far more misses than hits. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect run when every Spider-Man issue that came out is a banger. It's going to be hitting it out of the park. There's no Stan Lee didn't even have a perfect run, and him and Ditko pretty much created a character. There's not a such thing as a perfect run.
Yeah.
Given that, over the last, here's a question for you, Zach. Since you've been reading Spider-Man consistently compared to me,
Yeah.
is there one particular writer that you can say had an extremely good run where no one complained?
What time frame are we talking?
From Brand New Day on.
The best run, I think the highest of highs was the Spencer run, especially the first 3/4 of it. Some of the best ideas, outside of Spencer, I think probably Superior was probably the most consistently good, but you had to kind of suspend your disbelief of Peter not being their title role, right? I think it has to be Spencer if we're keeping it simply to Peter.
And what did Spencer do? What was the main draw to Spencer's title? Peter and Mary Jane were together.
Well, not just that. It was taking the illogical fallacies
and fixing them.
Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically addressed one more day.
Well, attempted to, but kind of didn't. But yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I agree with you just based on because I read 3 issues of Spencer. I liked it, but I won't continue. I didn't continue on because I knew they were going to undo everything. But way people were excited about Amazing Spider-Man during that time. People were excited to pick up an issue. I hope Zeb Wells has, not Zeb Wells, Mr. Kelly has a good run. Mostly because I'm buying the book and I want to read a good Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
Granted, I got Ultimate, but I want Amazing Spider-Man to be good. I hope Joe Kelly does a good job. I don't have high hopes, and I'm being honest, because based on his Brand New Day stuff, I hated it. But it's a different era. Neither could I. I couldn't suspend my disbelief of Superior Spider-Man because it wasn't. I'm looking at chat here, and a lot of them are voicing the same thing.
Yeah.
But you can have great artwork in a book. I mean, Clone Saga had a lot of great artwork. I hated the Clone Saga because I didn't like the story. I know you grew. That's how you got introduced to Spider-Man, Zach. It's nothing against you. It's nothing against people who like Clone Saga. If that's how you got into Spider-Man, so be it. But as a guy that,
he's still he's still talking crap.
Guy, I couldn't deal with it.
He just kept going.
I couldn't deal with my Peter not being Spider-Man.
Oh, I have acknowledged on on Clone Saga Chronicles, which is available right now on Spideydude Radio Network.
Shameless plug.
Listen, and it ain't easy, but I sure can do it.
Maybe you should get more plugs for your hair. I say this stuff, and never once do you ever hit back. I got a brighter glow on my head than you do.
This is true. So listen, like I say, getting to that. I mean, Peter. I think if it had been a 6-month story, it would have been a really temporary thing. I think people wouldn't have remembered it as much. But because it got stretched out and everything that was going on with Marvel behind the scenes at the time, they're nearing the bankruptcy anyway. I think
It was
that's
the book
why.
that was selling.
It was the only book that was selling that wasn't X-Men. But even X-Men was struggling at that point. So it's like, it was a sinking ship and they got desperate. If they had done the story the way they intended, where it ends with ASM 400, then I think it would be widely regarded as one of the better stories out there. It had been the 12.
If it was done at the length it was supposed to, where the story was tight.
Yeah,
it would have been a good run. It would be a good story.
Yeah,
but no, just like what we're dealing with the Disney overlords right now, we can't have that.
Yeah, the padding of everything. I think that's probably the biggest indictment. And we're not going to have Adam on this episode, but he'll give his thoughts on the second half of this when we talk about.
The second half I'm not allowed to be on to review an actual good book.
Sorry, Grumpy Gills. You can be in the comments section.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're gonna love that.
Of course. So there is a personal thing that you wanted to share tonight, and we are at the hour mark, so I figured we'd kind of wrap the show up on a positive note. What is the big news that you have got going on? God almighty, get that off the fucking screen.
Hey, I have dropped one F-bomb this show.
I know.
Not one. I deserve it.
Okay. Just go. Just tell everybody your news with the.
Well, I would pop a bottle of champagne. I did go to the doctor this past week, and I got a little bit of news about my cancer situation. I am in remission now. It's official. Well, it's good news. It's the weight off my back. But just 4 to 5 years, and I'll be cancer free. Thanks, Greg.
So, round of applause. Did everybody hear the round of applause?
No, I don't think.
There we go. Finally, some good news. Congratulations, man. Greg says congratulations. Greg, thank you for watching, by the way.
If you want to really congratulate me, Greg, I do have this cosplay I have.
Oh, no. Stop getting people to wear random shit on the show. And keep your
I wear random shit on the show. I'm not. I like to share. Thanks, Bacon.
Man.
All those that are saying congratulations and all that stuff, I do appreciate it. It's been almost 2.5 years.
Yeah,
unknown. But so Zach is going to continue to torture me by keeping me on this show reading Amazing Spider-Man.
You don't have to be on the show. You just did this because I couldn't get anybody to come on and talk about 8 Deaths of Doom.
What? And not have this on your show?
Just God almighty, damn. Just stop.
And all the effort I put into this?
Yeah, all that effort. Mm-hmm. That 5 minutes of photoshopping that's just horrifying. All right, next episode of the show. Mm-hmm. We'll be talking Ultimate Spider-Man, a really good book that came out today. Also with so that we will be talking about, it'll be me, Ashley, Neil, Adam will be on the next episode, and yeah, we might be talking some other news too. I'm trying to think if I had some other news topics that I was going to talk about. I do know that there's a new Spider criminal storyline. So for those that listen to that other Spider-Man show, I sent it to Brad, and he said it's already in the rundown. So
Yeah, all in a rundown in 2024.
No, it'll be probably the next whenever the next news show is. That's going to be the next.
No,
one.
the news stories on Brad's show have to be 15 or 20 years old.
Well, I mean, that's because Brad's Google alerts sometimes get wonky and they go off weird. So, yeah, we'll be covering issue 15 of Ultimate Spider-Man. So just please enjoy. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, we got to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. And I have not updated the graphics, but these are our patrons. Let me get the comment off. All right. We've got Allison, Cindy, Ed, Eric, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Joyce, Catherine, Kale, Laura, Howard, Matt, Lump Moose, Master, Draymond, Phoenician, RJ, and Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support over on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Spideydude Network. We also have our spectacular patrons in Sarah and Tara, our VIPs in Vinkman and Walter, and you see our friendly neighborhood guys and gals up on the screen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you'll get access to a new episode of Books of X that's going to be dropping very soon. Me and Neil are getting together to record it. We will have our other great shows like the Slot Symposium, the show that is the Spideydude Radio Network and Comic Binge collaboration. Speaking of Comic Binge, if you want to listen later tonight, they are going through they're getting ready for their build up to the new Superman movie. So they will be talking about that. Javi will be on there. We got Voices from the Eyrie, the host, Greg Bishansky, and co-host Greg Bishansky and Jennifer L. Anderson going to be back with more exciting stuff with a minor reprieve. They will be back sooner rather than later. More episodes ASM Class coming to your way. And as always, we have our Sabi Sim Era podcast. Doom did already pimp this out, but I figured I would mention it here at the end of the episode. We've also got Spectacular Radio, the show that all about the Spectacular Spider-Man anime series, and the aforementioned Clone Saga Chronicles, where I talk about the Clone Saga from the beginning all the way through. Also, Make Mine Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world, is also here on the channel. If you want to leave us a voicemail, 818-925-6631. You can always also find us over on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio edition, you can find us at youtube.com/Spideydude Radio Network. You can find me on Facebook, Threads, Instagram, at Spideydude Network, and then, of course, at Spideydude Radio on Twitter/X. Also, Spideydude Network on Twitch. If you're not watching us on Twitch, go find us on twitch.tv/Spideydude Network as well. And, of course, we thank everybody for watching. That is always
give our grades.
Oh, she's Louise, and we did not give our grades. It was so bad that the grades were not given. All right, let's see. What is your grade for the book?
I'm going to just do the story overall. I'm going to give it a D-.
D-. So that is Walter's grades. Zach's grade. Overall, C-. Dot deaths. F.
Yeah, dot deaths definitely F.
Yeah. Dot deaths and F. The other two stories were C-, and that was mainly because of the artwork. So those are our grades for the issue. Sorry about that. My grade, glad I never read it. So, like I say, once again, thank you guys for watching. If you've been watching us live, you're listening to us after the fact. As always, be sure to get that like, that share, that subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end of the episode, be sure to let us know what you think in the comments section down below. I will respond to them as soon as I see them. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network, where we'll be covering Ultimate Spider-Man number 15.
You good?
Oh, no.